All right, so we'll start off with I'm Rick Wallen, and this is Custom Effing Customs. So everything that we do here is effing custom. I've been working on custom cars for probably 20 years now, building things all the way from the early 90s, working on Honda Civics back when Fast and the Furious was still cool. So I remember putting a full body kit on a 1993 Honda Del Sol in my parents' garage, full fiberglass, molded, everything, and like the passion for building cars that I've had has been throughout my entire life. I've always wanted something that was fast. I've always wanted something that was loud. I've always wanted something that could smoke some other fool off the line. And so that passion kind of excelled through a lot of the different experiences that I had in life, some good, some bad, and led me to a career of working on cars. And I started out my main career working on cars right here in Auburn, California at Gold Rush Chevrolet. Gold Rush Chevrolet gave me an opportunity to go in and show them that I was a master at diagnosing and repairing vehicle systems. Even at 18 years old, when I first got my job there, I was hired as a heavy line diesel technician for 2,500 Duramax diesels. When I was hired, they asked, can you work on diesel engines? And I had come from heavy equipment. I'd been working on tractors for like the last 5 years. Yes, I can work on any diesel, doesn't matter what it is. And sometimes it's about, selling yourself. Even though you know that you're not 100% capable of doing what they're requesting, but you have the drive to figure out what's necessary in order to accomplish the goals needed to succeed. I applied and I got this job. I worked there for about 5 days, and they ended up firing their lead heavy line technician, and I was in charge of 5 racks, all to myself, doing 120 hours of billable labor a week at a dealership level, doing everything from full teardowns, transmission rebuilds, motor complete rebuilds, head studs, gaskets, turbos, you name it on these Duramax diesels. And that's where I started getting a lot of my automotive experience direct with the manufacturers. They sent me to school. I became a master GM certified technician. And then what happened? We had the bailout happen. So GM lost their licensing. The government had to come out. They had to give them a bunch of money, and our dealership was one of the dealerships that got a pink slip, and they said, hey, we're gonna be closing Gold Rush Chevrolet. And at the time, I had just purchased our first house, and I was super nervous about being able to have a job. And so I said, hey, you guys are Gold Rush Chevrolet and Subaru. Can I go be a Subaru technician? Can I go up there and be a foreman for the Subaru shop? And I had actually been building Subarus since about 96. I was working with a guy, Steve Barsotti, who owns Barsotti Auto Care right here in Newcastle, California. One of the most badass Subaru builders you'll ever meet. He's been in the Subaru World Rally game for 35 years, builds some super sick machines, and he does a lot of general automotive repair out of Barsotti's Auto Care. So I had been working with Subarus my whole life, so I knew him pretty much like the back of my hand anyways, and to go work at a dealership was like, okay, let's go do it. So went up to Subaru, and immediately they put me through all the Subaru training and became a Subaru Master Certified Technician. During that time, also became a full ASC Master Certified Technician with my L1, L2s, Master Electrical Diagnostic Technician, pretty much the highest level that you could possibly attain for certification in the automotive industry I was holding, and that was at 24 years old. I talked about some of the goods and the bads that led me to where I was at. Well, some of the bad things is that I ended up going through a major phase in my life where I was addicted to crystal meth, and that led me to not graduating high school, and I had no diplomacy or anything like that in the regular, you could say, accredited schooling system. So it was also difficult for me to acquire some of my first jobs because they asked, hey, do you have a high school diploma? And so what's the first thing that you do? You say yes, and you try to get a job, right? And so, luckily, I'm going to say that none of those particular locations ever really checked to see if I had a high school diploma. But education wasn't something that was really on the plate, you could say, during that time of my life. And so through some redirection and some soul searching, I was able to, put myself in a beneficial position and start working for a company and be reliable, and then be able to become this 24-year-old that was basically a master in his field. Then from there, Subaru and the owner, they were having some difficulties since the recession, and they weren't able to pay their technicians as well as they would like to have, and I had requested to have some payment increases because I was producing so much work for them, and it wasn't something that they could really facilitate at the time. So I decided to open my first business, and I opened Auburn Auto Doctors, which is still in business over off of Sutherland Drive right here in Auburn, California with Wayne Trimble. And we did that, like I said, when I was 25 or 26 years old. I can't remember the exact year that opened. But we started a successful general automotive repair shop that Wayne and I started from the ground up. Literally, we started renting a single bay, and every single night we would go there after work and we would work on cars, and we saved enough money to be able to get some equipment until one day we both looked at each other and we said, okay, I guess it's time. And he was the manager for Cragen Auto Parts before it was O'Reilly Auto Parts here in town. I was working for Gold Rush Subaru, and we both went in the next day and quit our jobs and opened Auburn Auto Doctors. Complete roll of the dice. And this was, like I said, just within about a year and a half of me purchasing a house. And so it was actually super trying because we're opening a brand new company. We have no income, no clientele, well, some clientele, just not like a dramatic amount of it. And we're taking $500 a month, and my wife is working her butt off to be able to try to pay some of the bills. And I sold my Subaru that I had at the time in order to help pay for things, and lots of different things were going on in our life, but we were able to manage through all of that and create a beautiful business. And during that time, I was contacted by a client, and they asked, hey, can you build a Ford Mustang in your guys' shop? And I had always been passionate and artistic about building custom cars. And so Wayne and I talked it over, and we basically were like, yeah, we got extra shop space over here on the side we're not really using. We could put the car up there and definitely take on a project like that and be able to create something that you're looking for. So I ended up building the first Darkhorse Mustang out of Auburn Auto Doctors, which was the Evil 69. And you can Google that, Evil 69 Mustang. It's crimson black with cherry red stripes, and that was the very first Darkhorse Customs car that we ever produced, and that was done at Auburn Auto Doctors. And that particular client at the time, I worked with him doing some of the things on a couple other cars, small projects, and then he came to me one day and he goes, do you really want to repair cars all day, every day? And I'm like, not really. And he's like, well, what if we start Darkhorse Mustangs and we build custom Mustangs? And I'm a theatrical producer. I didn't know about this at the time, that he was a production guy. He goes, I'll teach you how to film, I'll teach you how to edit, I'll teach you how to do all these different things while building these cars, and we'll make some killer content, and you'll be able to create beautiful, beautiful cars. So I ended up selling my company to Wayne, and he took it over completely. So Auburn Auto Doctors, like I said, is still a successful business, ran by Wayne Trimble here in town. And I went on to go start Darkhorse Mustangs. And so in doing that, I was able to build several theatrical film cars. Really spent my next 6 years building nothing but 69 and 70 Ford Mustangs, and got to experience a lot of crazy life in between that. Was able to work directly with Robbie Knievel and build a few of his last motorcycles before he passed away this last year. I was able to be the lead director of photography and production manager, editor of all footage and sound for Knievel's Quest, which is a documentary series that we started with Robbie Knievel, traveling all over the country looking for Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, aliens, cryptoids, UFOs, and things like that. So the first episode that we released was Knievel's Quest, Bigfoot. And so that was all up in the Trinity County area. And it was filmed with some of the leading Bigfoot researchers and scientists. We were able to go out and have this awesome experience and travel all over the country with Robbie Knievel. And so, you know, many of the experiences that I had with this other partner that I had were super fulfilling, and made it to where I had all this knowledge and understanding of how to work with very large name people in our industry, whether that be from the filming and editing side of the industry all the way to you know, what we would call superstars, as far as like Robbie Knievel or the Travis Pastranas or people on that level, as we worked directly with them to do the large event that was in Las Vegas, Nevada, Evil Live. Having some of those opportunities in my life have led us to where we're at with Custom Effing Customs. 3 years ago, some of this all started because I was contacted directly by Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford Motor Company, while I was owning and operating Darkhorse Mustangs. And they basically wanted to write a deal to purchase the name rights and trademark Darkhorse Mustangs. And so if you see the current 2023 Darkhorse Mustang, that was actually derived from our business. I was kind of a naive person, and I didn't really understand business in a whole on the legal sense of things. I had no physical ownership of the company. And I don't have huge legal teams. I wasn't a multimillionaire. I'm still not a multimillionaire. And fighting against this person would have been an absolute just demise. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he ended up with the complete deal from Ford Motor Company, and I ended up with nothing. With $1,200 in my back pocket and two of my very good friends. One of them is my cousin, and the other one has basically helped me walk many roads from other brands that we have, from the Drift brand that we have, Drift Nation, and Chris Davis, and the other one is Jesse West. Jesse does all the fabrication here at the shop, and Chris does all the media and all the marketing for our company. Having those two together at the very beginning of this, we have put in thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in order to get us to where we're at. We would work from 6 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the morning and be back at 6 o'clock in the morning. We had days that we worked, 24 hours and then 48 hours and then 72 hours directly in a row, slept for 2 hours and then woke up and did it again as we're finalizing major projects like this 1972 Blazer that we've invested over $1.7 million into in order to release for Air Performance Exhaust 2022 at SEMA. To then win Toro Off-Road Best in Show for SEMA 2023 in the four-wheel drive competition. So for us, the investment that we have into this company has made this company what it is, and all of us together are what have created this business and what it is today. And the passion that I have from when I was younger in building cars, and the passion that I have into creating timeless pieces of art, is something that is put into every single one of our cars that we work on, create, or build. And I work directly with Jesse, and I work directly with TJ, one of our other technicians, and now Bryce, our new full-time painter, to be able to create these visions that I have in my mind that have always been super artistic and super innovative. Whether that's integrating new technologies into classic cars, or keeping cars as super classic as possible, or making new cars go as fast and handle as well as possible. A lot of that stuff has to do with component design and integration, and a lot of that is math, and a lot of that is geometry and knowing how components function together to create something that is going to be exactly what your customer is looking for. Our biggest complex job that we have here is being able to listen to our customer and be able to provide to them a product at the end of the day that is above and beyond anything that they could ever dream or imagine, by taking their simple concepts and integrating them with our technical expertise. That is what we do here at Custom Effing Customs. We listen, we take the time, and we make sure that our customer is at tears by the time that they leave with their vehicle. We've had many times that we've delivered vehicles to customers right here in front of our shop, and they are pieces of who they are. They've had these vehicles for years. They want to invest time and they want to invest money into these projects. And when that project finally comes to fruition, it's amazing the emotional context that it has to be able to give that customer that type of a feeling when you deliver that product for them. So that's where I get a lot of this passion, is at the end of the day, being able to see the emotional connection that our customer has with a vehicle that ultimately we designed and we built based on what they had in their mind and what we could put on paper. And then integrating many other things in order to make sure that it was above and beyond anything that they could imagine. So again, I'm Rick Wallen, and this is Custom Effing Customs, and we love working together to build something that you dream about every day turn into realities.